This week on Rain of Roses, our characters fell into a big hole, so here we go. Yannick's father, Sigrun, is dead, and as the party proceeds away from the site of battle on the long road home, his father's horse is inconsolable. Redhilt has attacked several squires and pages and attempted to board the funeral wagon carrying Sigrun Epolt. Left unspoken is the fate of a horse that cannot be tamed. Yannick is not being informed because he's a horse handler, he's being informed because Gunther Wehrund won't kill Sigrun's horse without his permission, and he rightly assumes Yannick will try to calm her. Yannick, Li Wei, and Fazl are reunited at last, but they have a horse to deal with. It's testy, but Yannick makes a surprise move and tries to bond her with Li Wei. It works, to an extent. She lets him mount her, and it's off to the races. With that triumph under their belt, they head through the camp to rest seat up when the ground breaks out from under them. The party is saved from much harsher treatment by Li Wei, who immediately casts Featherfall. But they're still descending, and he's got a hard choice to make. The party is accompanied by Li Wei's mentor, Von Ordel, and a random soldier who will later name Bobrin, as they plummet down into the brown heart of Earth. But that's overall one more person than Li Wei can cover with Featherfall right now. Li Wei knows Fazl is resourceful in motion, and, in a reversal of episode 2.5, Featherfall's everyone but him. Fazl relies upon his faithful feathered dino mount Cha-Cha, and his sickle to slow his descent. But Cha-Cha is gravely wounded on the way down and spends the rest of the episode in his backpack. After clattering to the ground a good while later, Featherfall eventually wearing off but helping them steer their descent, the group finds themselves in a semi-hewn passage through natural caves. There are collapsed rocks, signs of blood, and a pickaxe besides. The gang quickly fumbles with torches in the dark, and Yannick determines he'll take point, and that pickaxe. He finds a weak point in the wall he could break through with this pick, but he knows there'd be damage that could wind up crushing him and his allies. Instead, they round the corner to discover a beautiful crystal forest. Li Wei makes Fazl invisible, he scouts ahead and all seems safe, so they begin to poke their heads out. The wonderful twinkling crystal forest underground they emerge into is home to an ambush. Winter elves are here with hand crossbows, short-blade scimitars, and a potent poison known as Dark Dream that can put those struck by it to sleep. They also throw concentrated Abzar beads at the party, which explode into magical darkness. The enemy can see through it because they, the Grey Eyes gang, melt down and alchemically mix Abzar. They then drop it into their eyes. Their irises turn gray and they lose color vision, but they can see through the Abzar clouds they proceed to use in their ambushes. The fighting is hard, but eventually the whole group goes to sleep from the poison or being beaten down. The group emerges in a rough stone chamber with iron bars between the gaps. There is a little light, but they've been relieved of their arms and armor. There is Kartek Orc here, whose name is Quava, who's doing some curls with a broken bit of stonework, while the far cell is full of winter elves. Their captor is a winter elf noble from the deep Devuvion, known as Leshna Yava Ukpore. She directs her bodyguard, Navarro Vel, seemingly a paladin of some sort, to shed a little light on the situation. What follows is a curt conversation where she informs them she intends to ransom the whole lot, under a technicolor rainbow light summoned by Varavel. She says she'll continue to interrogate the group later before departing on some business or other. The group plots how to escape and makes pals with Quava, who notes Yannick killed a paladin prime with callously struck down her leader when he tried to pull them out of the obviously a trap attack vector the Emerald Rose was holding down. Before they can formulate much of an escape plan, the leader of the elves in the other cell, Vio, stages a prison break with an inside man in the Grey Eyes gang and a bit of a piano wire. Their captor is out to an important business meeting in town, and the enemy have already taken heavy casualties from earlier ambush, so they are able to overtake all within swiftly. The party enters into a town of stone carved from a cavern. Winter elves, the odd dwarf and goblin, and several mutant humans with their eye slots replaced with a wide, light-detecting milk-white visor known as abnects live here. Leshna is being confronted by the townspeople and is then confronted from behind by the party. Her bodyguard Varovel is incredibly potent, and there's still a bit of a standoff as Leshna departs, promising to repay Yannick this favor one day as she's reduced to just her bodyguard. The townspeople have a variety of backgrounds and are happy to embrace Yannick and his companions, and to see the ambushers gone, who moved in to replace the skeleton garrison that had deserted after the news of the Gold Pack's collapse spread. Abzaryin, as the town is known, has an economy based on trade in the mining of Abzar. At the moment, cave-ins have isolated them from the outside world, save for by Geyser. They learn a Vizier, like from episode 1, has moved into the Abzar mines, and the only way to get to the Geyser is through some steam caves that people are rumored to not return from, or the Abzar mine. After a good day's rest, the party heads out into the steam caves through more crystal forest. They encounter strange naked mole rat-like creatures with antlers and some glittering malachite. Enoch pops his way through a cave wall with a well-placed pickaxe swing. The group proceeds past a strange apparition that gives Fazil a drowsy sensation as he sees a suggestion of a demon of repose, a certain stanza in the great canticle of sloth. Beyond is the Abzar mine and Vazir, and using their knowledge of facing them before they come up with and slay the foe. The group finds themselves at the foot of the geyser's chamber. They're unsure of how to ascend, until Fazil calls out to gliding pterodactyl-like creatures that inhabit the upper reaches of the cavern. After talking briefly and making an offer of food, they are swiftly flapped over to the geyser's mouth just as the mists of the caves are sucked in and they're shot up to the end credits of this episode. Thus ends the path through fire and war. So, Leeflections time. Ultimately, the ambush ruined what was supposed to be an open world exploration segment of an otherwise highly linear adventure. I had made tons of assets and areas the party barely saw in passing in the final half hour of the game. There are a lot of lessons that could be drawn from this, but I stubbornly feel it's more the 3 hour time limit and episode amount I've got to keep this campaign within that's kept the plans from panning out for want of other plans. You win some, you lose some.